Hello, this is Ajay Mandrai from Boston on Monday, May 5th. Those of you who may not know me, it's my honor, really a privilege to serve the Journal of Global Marketing as its editor-in-chief. And it is with pleasure I welcome you to join us for a special webinar as Dr. Li Huang, a senior associate editor of the Journal of Global Marketing, an assistant professor of marketing at Hofstra University, and concurrently a visiting scholar at Columbia, interviews Dr. Dipak Jain, President Emeritus and Distinguished Professor of Marketing at CBIS, China Europe International Business School, and a former Dean of INSEAD and Kellogg School of Management. Their conversation will center on Dr. Jain's recently published JGM feature topic paper, Global Diffusion of New Product Innovations, Investigating Cross-Cultural, Lead Lag Timing, and Social Media Effects by Jain and Jain 2025. Drawing on decades of research and leadership in global marketing, Dipak offers powerful insights into how innovation spreads across cultures, the dynamics of lead lag markets, and the evolving role of social media in global product adoption. Don't miss this engaging dialogue between two distinguished scholars exploring cutting-edge ideas at the intersection of global marketing, consumer behavior, and digital transformation. Thank you, Dipak and Lee. Lee, you may take over now.
Hi, good morning, Dr. Jain. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's truly a pleasure to speak with you, not just about your impactful research, but also about your global academic journey. We will start by discussing the insights from your latest publication in the Journal of Global Marketing. Then we can, hear your advice for global marketers. Later, we can also touch on your global teaching experience and personal reflections on your academic journey. So let's start with your research and the theories behind it. I'm really curious about what motivates you to pursue this project, especially the connection between social media, innovation, and diffusion. Could you share a bit about the story behind how this project came to be?
So I came to US to do my PhD at UT Dallas, University of Texas at Dallas. And during the same time, a very renowned marketing scholar called Frank Bass moved from Purdue University to UT Dallas.
Okay.
So I had the privilege of being almost the first group of students that he advised. And as you know, Frank Bass has done work in many areas, including diffusion, stochastic brand choice, market response models, and he has a whole spectrum of renowned doctoral students.
Okay.
Given my background, I did my bachelor's degree in statistics honors and did my master's in mathematical statistics. And my PhD from UT Dallas, I joined the operations research group, and then I made a transition to marketing. So my training is more in the area of stochastic processes, statistics.
Okay.
And so in my research, I use a lot of statistical modeling and statistical estimation. Well, that's what I studied. And when I came to UT Dallas and I heard about Frank Bass and I read the famous Bass diffusion model, which is there, that resonated with my interest. And the very first work as a doctoral student that I did was to include marketing variables in the Bass diffusion model.
Okay.
So I wrote my very first paper I wrote when I was a doctoral student and went to the doctoral consortium was how you include price in the diffusion model and what is the effect of price on the diffusion parameters. That was the work I did with Professor Ram Rao, who also was my co-advisor along with Professor Frank Bass. And that started the journey.
Wow.
Yes, so that started this journey, and this I'm talking is 1983-84 period.
Yes.
So more than, you can say, 40 plus years today. Once I started doing this, I found that there are lots of areas within the globe, within the diffusion area, that can be researched. I had another PhD student who was in the PhD program at Purdue University working with Frank Bass. And when Professor Frank Bass moved to UT Dallas, he also moved along with Frank Bass.
Okay.
And he was completing his PhD. And one day he came to me and said, Deepak, you know so much about diffusion. Let's see if we can look at diffusion in a global context. Because so far, all the studies have been done with US products and US services. Let's see how it applies to other institutions. And at that time, Professor Takada had data on the Pacific Rim countries, Japan, Korea, and also we looked at US. And we thought if we do a cross-cultural studies, can we see whether the parameters of innovation and imitation varies across countries? And if that is the case, then it would give a lot of implications for multinational companies when to launch the product in another country and how to launch it. So I worked with Professor Takada on this area of cross-cultural diffusion. And I tell you, that was the beginning of diffusion in a global context.
Yeah.
Because not very many people had done. And part of the reason was because a lot of people did not have access to data also.
Indeed.
So at that paper attracted the attention and it was published in Journal of Marketing. And I tell you, that paper also had a huge impact because lots of people then started looking at the European countries. And that period of 1988 to 92, I would say, you can see lots of cross-cultural or global product diffusion papers came in management science, marketing science, Journal of Marketing, Market Research, and others. So over the years, starting from the basic diffusion model to this, and then my next was, since my first work was only to look at price, which I wrote with Professor Ram Rao, I, after joining Northwestern, was very much interested how we develop a comprehensive framework for including marketing mix variables, not just price, on diffusion. And I worked on it and came up with a hazard model approach, a proportional hazard model approach on product diffusion. Here at UT Dallas, Frank Bass had a student whose name was Trichy Krishnan. And Frank Bass was working with Trichy Krishnan on the same topic of marketing mix. And Frank Bass always thought that his basic model without marketing mix fits so well. So we need to explore why without marketing mix variable also the global product, the product diffusion model of Frank Bass was so robust.
Yeah.
They submitted their paper and I submitted my paper both to marketing science. And the editor said, both of you are approaching the same problem, but using different methodologies. So then we were asked to combine.
Oh.
And that paper got published, I think in 94 or 95 in marketing science. So that has been the case. Then I did many other work in this area. And finally, when Ajay asked me to think about Journal of Global Marketing and write a piece, I thought that a very new area today is the impact of social media.
Yes.
So earlier in marketing, we used to talk about product diffusion driven by two factors. Innovation, which is the external influence, and imitation, which is the word of mouth, right? People talk to each other.
Yes.
But once internet came and once Facebook, etc. came, we had a new thing called social media. And I used a term called from word of mouth to word of mouse.
Oh.
Right, today through your mouse, you can influence a lot of people.
Yes.
So the word of mouth is when people physically connect with each other. Word of mouth is social media and digital connection, and both have impact on product diffusion. And my personal belief was that word of mouth would make global product diffusion accelerate because now people can hear from each other all over the world.
Yes.
And I have a saying that geography has become history. There are no geographical boundaries anymore. Had I been in Shanghai, we would have been talking today between New York and Shanghai.
Yeah.
So through digital media, you can connect to any person, you can influence people's choices. And so in the current work, we extended our work of the early 90s, where with Professor Hirokazu Takada, I did work on lead lag effects. the
Yes.
lead country affecting the lag one. So if US is already introduced, the product is already known, and then how it affects. So in the lag country, you would see the queue to be higher because they already have information from previous adopted. So the risk is lower.
Okay.
And then the other part was we Asian countries, we talk to each other more. Our social interactions are stronger than what you see in the Western world. Right?
Yes.
You see in China, you see in India, we talk to our neighbors. We ask if the neighbor has bought a new car, you will go and talk to them and ask their experience with the new car and everything.
Uh-huh.
So we found in the research that cultures like the Asian cultures, we can find a higher Q, the coefficient of imitation, than the Western world.
Yes.
So these kind of things prompted me to explore the rate of diffusion, the type, the nature of diffusion. And in the current work, one very important thing is when you look at the diffusion literature, there is a statistics called T star, which is time to peak.
Yes.
And that's very important from a managerial point of view, because if you know when the sales would peak, you know that after that, the sales are going to go down because bulk of the people have already accepted the product.
Yeah.
And so today, if you look at new products, that is a very important time for you to think about the new edition, because the previous adoption has been adopted. And now if you are Apple, you can think when to launch the new edition. So we worked that how the T star time to peak differs from country to country, and how T star also differs with word of mouth and word of mouse. And you would expect T star to become shorter after social media effects, because more people have known about the products, they would adopt early, and the T star would be.
Yeah, one of your key findings that I found particularly interesting is that social media seems to accelerate the time to peak adoptions, especially in Eastern markets. What do you think contributes to this stronger effects in the East? Is it due to people's social connections or something else?
People connect with more each other. See, sometimes I tell you, when I came to US, I never knew who my neighbor was. And nothing. The cultural part was, why disturb someone? Now, if you take a proactive approach and go and introduce yourself, people would be very fine. But that's not inherent. It's not an intrinsic quality. We from Asia, when we come to this country, since we are new, we like to introduce ourselves to people, get to know them. And that's why I said that these things are stronger there. And I may not be wrong. Today, the maximum Facebook users may be in India.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the case.
Yes. So it just speaks that when you look at countries like India, China, Thailand, and others, we like social interactions. So if you are launching a new product, you need to make sure that you provide people with enough marketing so that people get a chance to connect and the product adoption may be fast. So these are the learnings that are very important for managers. And today, with all the data that we have across countries, we can do very fine research. And I would like more new PhD students to focus on global issues, because it gives us insight. Though we all are human beings, but our growing conditions may have been different. Our social interactions are different. Our buying power may not be the same. So when you have these kind of differences, are those differences reflected in the adoption process?
Yeah, that really opens up a lot of exciting research opportunities for the future. For example, do you think social media is actually reducing the differences between the East and the West in terms of online social interactivities? Since social media platforms don't have clear regional or national boundaries, people around the world can use Facebook, Instagram, and follow influencers or friends from other countries. Traditionally, Eastern cultures may have been categorized by more offline, community-based interaction, but now in the social media like online world, do you think those cultural differences in social interactivities are becoming less significant?
Yes, very, very good question. As I said, that geography has become history. So the social boundaries are no longer there. Correct. A person sitting in China would like to know how his or her age group people in America is thinking and what they are doing and so on. But still, there may be one thing that may be different, and that is the resources people have in these countries.
Okay.
See, the access to resources, like when I was growing up in India, we had no television at home. The first time I saw a television was in 1982 when I went to Stockholm School of Economics as a research scholar. Can you believe in 1982 was the first time I saw a TV? We didn't have. So one thing that differs is propensity to buy, exposure to the different world. Today, it is getting better.
Yeah.
But in spite of getting better on the social media side, the economic influence or the economic buying power may still.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. So the main thing is today, if there are still differences of social media across countries, what contributes to that factor?
Yes.
It cannot be just the interaction. It can be other factors that is there. Sometimes some companies may launch the product later in the country. So lots of interesting questions today need to be answered because we have access to resources. By resources, I mean data, interactions with people. Like you are visiting today Columbia University. I would like my American
very
colleagues to
cool.
go and spend some time in
The
Korea or
implication
go
for
and spend
companies
some time
launching
in
new products
Vietnam,
in today's
in
global
countries,
marketplace.
and see the behavior there. Work with people there, they can have some good access to the data there and see what contributes to the differences. And it cannot be just mathematical differences. You also have to talk to people. The best research is a combination of qualitative and quantitative research. Because sometimes this qualitative research, what you call consumer behavior and others, you do experimental approach, we do a lot of statistical approach, that is fine. But the main thing is when you live somewhere and you interact with people, you see their thought process.
Yeah, there are also mindset differences as well, right?
Exactly. So that is the key word. Though social media may reduce the geographical boundaries, but there is still a difference in mindset.
Yeah, I can even imagine that if you look globally, the access to social media or even social media literacy, like knowing how to use these platforms, might vary quite a lot as well.
Absolutely. That's the word I use called resources.
Okay.
Your mental resources, your physical resources. Like I tell you, today you talk about India being so advanced, but you won't know that the internet penetration in India is very low.
Oh.
The internet, the physical computer, etc. Everyone has a cell phone, you can talk. Because when you talk, people who don't know how to read and write can still talk.
Okay.
They can still watch movies. They can talk, they can listen. But the internet penetration is not as high as people would expect in India. And the reason may be that a lot of people may not afford a laptop or a desktop. If China is making cell phones very cheaper models for people, and why do a person driving a small rickshaw, as we call hand pull rickshaw, just need a cell phone to connect with his family and tell that yes, he is fine or she is fine. So depending on the resources that you require to be on the Instagram, to be on the Facebook, you can use the cell phone as one instrument. And if you want to do more sophisticated work, like The next thing would be in diffusion area, the influence of AI and machine learning.
Yes, you're right. Everyone is currently talking about AI as a new ways of innovation, but the pace of its global diffusion can vary significantly. Not all countries have easy access to tools like ChatGPT, and people in Western countries may have some advantages in terms of AI knowledge and training, which could further contribute to differences in diffusion. And I think there are so many interesting questions, even within the realms of social media. People might form different kinds of relationship with their unknown followers. For example, individuals from Eastern might be more likely to view these followers as friends, while those from Western cultures might see them simply as followers. This could lead to differences in trust level, especially when it comes to words of mouth, how much people believe in the recommendation they see online. I have no idea.
Yes. And I tell you, there is a very strong feeling now that all what you're hearing on social media is that authentic or fabricated.
Yes.
Now, so there are lots of things because we have so much information. How you filter this information to make sure that this information really is authentic and it influences all your purchasing behavior.
Yeah, exactly. I'm currently working on a research project with Geeta Johar about misinformation on social media. There's so much information being shared, and people often need to ask themselves, is this authentic? Is this actually true? So I think you're raising a very important issue here. When we talk about diffusion and adoption, we also need to consider what's real and what's not on social media.
Absolutely. So there are, though people say they are tired of listening to diffusion models and others, but the emerging issues are very pertinent for both researchers and more for managers. Because these has implications for product launch strategies, for product pricing strategies, for advertising and marketing. The more you the crux is to understand the human being.
Yes.
And the thought process, the way these people process information, the reasoning they go through, and what factors influence their reasoning behind product acceptance, behind product likes and dislikes, and so. So I think that's what motivates me. And so when Ajay asked me, I thought that I will put together. And this work I did with my son.
Oh.
Because I trained when he was a PhD student at University of Chicago, I used to ask him to estimate a lot of nonlinear statistical models because that would give him a very good experience when he has to apply the same thing to his data in accounting. Because statistical models are statistical models, it depends on in what context you apply. So he learned a lot. And then in accounting, people still are not as cross-cultural as in marketing we have. But I said that a day may come when you have to look at the accounting practices across countries.
Wow, that's amazing. I have found that it's often quite challenging to collaborate across disciplines, even within a business school. Sometimes I talk to colleagues in finance or accounting and suggest a collaboration, but it can be really hard to find that common ground. We use different methodologies and frameworks. That's why I find your work so fascinating. It really shows how marketing and accounting backgrounds can come together and integrate so effectively.
Remember one thing, we both are interested in the consumer. The consumer doesn't care whether you have an accounting background or they want to know whether you have a good product, you have a good service associated with the product, and are you a good human being?
Indeed, that's the common ground we all share. We are all humans and we are all interested in understanding consumers. Well, we know that the acceleration is strongest in the social media era. What do you think makes social media such a transformative force compared to earlier digital tools?
Let me tell you my thought process.
Mm-hmm.
When we were students, we used to do all this regression analysis by hand. There were no computers in my days. We used to take a matrix, inverse the matrix by hand, compute. When you say y equal to a plus bx, we did by hand the estimate of a and the estimate of b.
Mm-hmm.
Because we had no access to computers. This I'm talking of the 70s. In India, there were no computers.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned doing hand. When computers came, computers gave us speed. Now, what I was doing by hand, you can program it and it gave you speed.
Mm-hmm.
When internet came, now in those days, you used to go to the library and look at all the journals, what the previous research was, you read, you make photocopies of those articles, you come and read and so on. Internet made the search easier. You had access to all these people right on your machine.
Uh-huh.
So it made that process more smooth. Now, when internet came with that part, you had access to a lot of materials sooner than previous. Computers made you calculate things faster than before.
Mm-hmm.
Today, when AI is coming, what AI is giving you is what I call structure. You tell ChatGPT that I want to write a letter, this is the content. They will draft a letter for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And now you can write that letter using your personal preferences and your style. But sometimes a lot of time is spent in your initial to put together the first thought that is now already there. So
Yes.
what happened with social media and internet? Internet made the product faster, there is no doubt. But
Mhm.
internet still didn't have the human interactions.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
what is social media? That I can talk to you, you are sitting there, get your thing. And that is what Facebook, Instagram, and others did,
Mm-hmm.
which was missing. And product diffusion, if you say that there are two factors, innovation and imitation, external influence and internal influence. Now in the internal influence, you had one more influencer, which is the social media over and above the internet. And we can easily see the additional increment. Products launched after 2007. In my research, you can see, or whatever area you define, you see an additional. So you can look at the word coefficient of imitation as Q naught and Q1. Q naught is the basic word of mouth, and Q1 can be the word of mouth.
Yeah, social media has some unique characteristics. For example, openness. Everyone has a voice now. Social interactivity is also a key component. In the past, communication was mostly one way, but now we receive feedback instantly. When you post something, people can immediately comment or like it. Another important characteristic is the speed of the information flow. In the past, without social media, there was often a time lag before news spreads. But now, if something happens overnight, people across the world can immediately know.
And that is how the product diffusion can be faster or even slower. So if the product is not good, immediately the world would know and your sales can. So many years ago, I did a piece of research with a PhD student. And this was on movies. And in movies, there was a time when you have a lot of sequels, like Back to the Future, Back to the Future 2, Back to the Future 3, Beverly Hill Cops, Beverly Hill Cops 2 and 3. Right? You see, these are called sequels. Now, normally what you see, if you think the sequel is not as good as the first one, you know what you should do? Launch with a very heavy marketing campaign so that people go to see, because the word of mouth is going to be negative.
Okay.
People would say, oh, this is not as good, but let people not listen to the word of mouth and go and see the movie based on the success of the first.
Mm-hmm.
So you spend more on advertising and launching the product in more theaters than you would otherwise do. Because what you want to do, recover your cost.
Yes.
So these are implications that if you get some preliminary research and you find that the product may have some negative, you need to think about how you recover the inherent cost. So these are a lot of implications. Not that social media would only give you positive things. And how you incorporate the negative things. You don't want to say my product is, the social media thing is wrong, but given that is right, what best I can do to recover my cost.
Yes, you're right. When I was teaching social media marketing here, I always remind my students that social media has opened up more challenges for brands in managing their online reputations. In the past, if something negative happened, it might not have had a really significant impact. But now one negative incident can have serious consequence. So just like you said, brands must always be prepared. Words of mouth online isn't always as positive as they might expect. Mhm. Based on your findings, what guidance would you offer to firms when launching products in culturally diverse markets?
See, launching is a tactical decision.
Uh-huh.
When you are preparing the product in the first place, do the research at that time. Keep the product ready, because you know that these are the things. So when you come with a new product,
Mhm.
the tactical decision is when to launch in Taiwan, when to launch in Thailand and India. The product is ready.
Yes.
If you think I will make another product for Thailand and other, then it will take time.
Mhm.
So do all your research. Launch the product in the first market, but keep the research and your knowledge, and then press the button when you think this is the right time. So one is the strategic part and one is the tactical part. The
Okay.
research is strategic.
Mhm.
The execution is tactical.
Okay, I see. So you are suggesting that in Eastern markets, firms should focus on innovation cues. However, in Western markets, they might benefit more from viral peer-driven messenger. Can you share an examples of a brand that has done this well?
I may not be able to give you a specific example, but let me tell you how the word spreads.
Mm-hmm.
When I was the dean of INSEAD,
Yes.
I used to see a lot of Chinese tourists
Uh-huh.
standing outside the Louis Vuitton store in queue before even the store is going to open.
Okay.
Now, in their mind, the product you will get there is the real authentic product.
Mm-hmm.
And these are people who can afford to pay the premium price and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes people would say this product may also be available in my country, but you are not sure. Here, there is a certainty. Now,
Okay.
when these people go and they buy here, they would go and talk to people in their country.
Mm-hmm.
Many people in their country may not have the affordability to come to Paris to buy,
Mm-hmm.
but at least they can see the difference between the product they bought in the store in Paris and the product that is available in a part in China or India.
Mm-hmm.
They can physically compare.
Yes. So I
And you
think,
can,
yeah,
so
when
these people who can afford to travel to Paris and
Mhm.
get the product, though they are also Indian citizens or Chinese citizens living in China or India, but they have access to this resource to try the product from what we call the actual heartland. They can then bring the product in their country and the people may find that the product is the same and so on. It just gives more assurance.
Okay.
So I call them as sales agents. They are messengers. Your own friends in China may be messengers who have been abroad and so on, they come. Now, the other better example I give is, see, if you teach a course marketing management,
Yes.
I would the content is the same whether I'm teaching at Kellogg or in Shanghai or in Paris. It is the same 4 P's, the same thing. But what makes the difference is the quality of the students in the class.
Yeah.
The questions I get in China is sometimes maybe very different than the questions I get in Europe or I get in India. Because their people internalize what I'm saying to their behavior, to their preferences, to their settings. So even you are teaching the same course, you have to be open to comments and suggestions from other countries.
I find your teaching experience very inspiring. You have worked at many prestigious institutions across the world. Can you share with us how those diverse academic environments have shaped your perspective as a teacher?
So the way I look at it, when you teach a course in US, you know, in every course you have something called class participation. You know?
Yeah.
Grade for class participation at a Harvard, people, that is very significant when you do case discussions, how people are contributing. When I first taught in Thailand, the Thais thought the teacher is right and there was very limited class participation. But the Thais don't question you because they think you are the expert. Who am I to question the expert?
Yes.
So if I am teaching, so I basically say in Thailand, I lecture.
Lecture.
I lecture. In Chicago, I discuss. And when I taught the same course in Tel Aviv, in US, you discuss. But in countries like, with the reactions you get from the students, and the reactions are culture specific.
Yes.
So this concept of cultural differences is not only in product purchase, but also in my teaching. I learned a lot. And it's not that the student is wrong or student is disrespectful. That's their cultural way. You can say they are not, they don't have the finesse and they are very rude. It's not rude or anything. It's just part of their upbringing and their style. You have to acknowledge and respect that. So I have no problems. I taught in just last year in November, I taught a course in marketing at Seeds. And I lectured. These people had no knowledge, mostly very little knowledge of English. So there was simultaneous translation. But I tell you, when I was discussing the case, the questions these Chinese executives asked me were very penetrating and very thoughtful. So at the end, my style is everyone is a human being. People think.
Yes.
And if you can connect with their thinking, you can make an impact. You should not think, oh, these are less smart people, these are more smart people. I never think. I only look at everyone and look at that person. He is a human being. He is a learner. He is here to learn. I'm here to share my knowledge. And we are in the process of working together to improve our learning. I tell you, my philosophy of teaching, the role of a teacher is not just to teach, but to create an interest in the topic. To make the topic so interesting that the student would like to explore and learn more. That is what teaching is. Because you can never teach in one semester the whole thing. but you created enough interest in few students in the class who may decide to do a PhD, who may decide to do something more. That is the role of a teacher, is to create an interest in the topic so that people find, I never knew marketing was so interesting. I used to teach a course, market research. Students don't like market research, doing statistics and others. But when I showed them that how this research can be impactful for the real world, people said, I never knew that market research can be so interesting.
Yes, I can really resonate with that. Every semester, I take my students to the behavioral lab and show them how we design experiments and test hypotheses using different technologies. For example, we use eye tracking and facial analysis, for research. For example, we use eye tracking and facial analysis tools. When you observe people's facial expression, you can better understand their emotions. The students find this very interesting. They often say, I never realized marketing research could be like this. Their curiosity grows and they want to learn more. I also invite a friend from Facebook to speak with I also invite a friend from Facebook to speak with them, because in Facebook, they often conduct research to understand user behaviors and preference in response to product features. I also invite a friend from Facebook to speak with my students. Facebook has a department called Customer Insights, which conduct research to understand user behaviors and preference in response to platform features. This helps students see how marketing research skills can be applied directly in industry settings.
And I tell you another, my personal philosophy. I think a teacher is like a symphony conductor. If you go to a symphony, the conductor through the hands, what is the role of the conductor? To synchronize. Everyone is playing a musical instrument.
Yes.
And if you can synchronize them, it becomes music to the ears. If one note is misaligned, it becomes noise.
Yes.
Same thing in the classroom. You need each student is playing an instrument. That means each student has a voice. Your role as a teacher is to make sure that you create an inclusive environment where students at the end say, oh, I learned so much. This was such a good discussion. So the teacher is no different than a symphony conductor. How you connect all the notes, how you get students participate.
Yes.
And everyone feels that, yes, this was a great class, we learned so much. So it's a more, sometimes I feel teaching is an art. See, not to be too personal, my father was born with one eye. He never had the other eye. And later on, he lost his other eye also. So for a large part of his life, he was completely blind. My grandfather was a school teacher. So he used to tell me one sentence. He says, he would name my father and say that your father cannot see light. You need to give light to the world. And the word Dipak means a lamp. Deepak means a source of light.
Oh.
Yes, that's what it means. So in old days, when you didn't have electricity at home, and you light that, there is a wick, you put the light, and that is what Deepak means. A source of light. So my grandfather used to say, he named me Deepak, he used to say, your father cannot see light. Hold on. You need to give light to the world. So teaching is something I never considered as a profession. Teaching is something I worship. Going to a classroom is like going to a temple. This is how I really believe that teaching is something I worship. And that's why I tell people, no matter how great researcher you are, but you need to also think of the students.
Yeah.
Because you need to share your knowledge in the language the students can understand, because that's how you can expand the knowledge. You will create future researchers.
Yes.
And that's the word mentorship, that people say, oh, Professor Jain's class is so interesting, I would like to know more. Not out of 100 students, everyone would go for PhD, but even if 1 or 2 students like to explore more, that becomes very important.
Completely agree with you that being a professor is incredibly rewarding and meaningful because we have the opportunity to make a real impact on others' lives. Sometimes when students graduate, their parents come to me and say, "Thank you so much. My son never realized this could be his experience. Thank you so much. My son never." Sometimes when students graduate, their parents come to me and say, "Thank you so much. My son never realized this could be his career. But after taking your class, he discovered something he's truly passionate about." Moments like that are incredibly heartwarming. As you just shared, students come from different cultures and backgrounds, and some may be hesitate to challenge the professor or share their opinions. So nowadays, I try to leverage technologies to enhance class engagement. Sometimes I use online polls and games that allow everyone to participate using their cell phones. I found that students appreciate these new ways of communication in the classroom. Regarding your findings in this specific research, are there particular industry or products categories where your insights are especially applicable or perhaps less relevant?
See, the question is, findings are finding. Product managers, depending on the product, have to tailor it to their needs. See, one thing that always when you teach something, people would say, oh, you are in this consumer industry, I am in business marketing, I do. This is an excuse. Human beings, sometimes when you say things, they say, oh, we are different. This is a very common answer. So I tell my students that generally people are saying that we are different. But what people should focus is what's similar between what Professor Jain is saying and my industry. Rather than looking for differences, look for similarities.
Okay.
That is the essence of learning. As you said, that you may be in marketing, the other guy is in finance. Oh, we are different. But what is in marketing that we can apply to finance? Because you are also dealing with investors. Marketing is also dealing with consumer, and that consumer may also become an investor. Look for similarities. That is the essence of learning, rather than looking for difference.
Yes. That's a very good advice.
Yes. Look what is similar. That's only things can progress. Now,
Good.
Indians are different. Not that you want everyone to be the same. But so one advice I give to my students is that suppose you are traveling with your senior. You went for a field trip. The flight got delayed.
Yes.
Now you both are sitting at the airport for 2 hours. Don't start discussion on your company's product. Bring something about your culture at that time.
Yes.
The other guy would feel, oh, in 1 hour I learned so much about the Chinese culture or the Indian culture. For example, in India, we have arranged marriage. See, when you are growing up, the marriage is arranged by your parents. That's a very typical thing, which is very strange in US culture, that who are you to tell me whom to marry? So I share the story that how my father picked my wife. And you see, my father picked someone whom he liked very much, and my father was completely blind. And we have been married since 1989 today.
Wow.
So my point is, what drives this thing? So I always advise students that if you are stuck with your senior at the airport, learn about the cultural differences. Bring stories about your upbringing, or ask your supervisor that how did you reach that stage?
Yes.
That is more insightful than talking about the product.
Yeah, I agree. So you talk a lot about your research and teaching. I'm just curious, like outside of your work, how do you recharge yourself? Any favorite hobbies that you have?
Yes, so see, one thing I will tell you, my hobby is human interaction.
Okay.
And I tell you what I mean.
Mhm.
I tell my students that whenever you are traveling,
Mhm.
be proactive and introduce yourself to the person sitting next to you. At the worst, what will happen? The person would say, I am busy, I have to do work, I have no time to do. That's fine. But if you don't start it, you never know whom you are sitting next to.
Mhm.
Some students would tell me, Professor Jain, I always get the middle seat. I say, you are double lucky. You have two people to introduce. At least one would listen on your left or your right. So I give you one example. I was on a flight going to Shanghai.
Mhm.
The person sitting next to me was very busy on his laptop. I don't use laptops or anything. So he just said, yes, I work for a company. I'm in charge of marketing. And he didn't say, he said just work.
Mhm.
After the dinner was served and everything, we ate and other things, he asked me, what do you do? I think just as a courtesy, I said that I used to be a professor of marketing and now I'm the president of the business school in China. He says, you know marketing? I said, I used to teach marketing. He says, I am going to make a presentation. Can I share my presentation with you?
Okay.
He showed me his presentation. I looked at it. I said, I need a hard copy. I am not a computer literate person. I don't use computers. Till today, you won't believe all my classes I teach with blackboard and chalk. I write
Oh,
everything. You won't know this. Everything still today I write is by hand.
wow.
Okay. So he gave me a deck. I went through the presentation and I said that if you have to present, it was like 60 plus pages. I said, just focus on this. Think from the user point of view. User cannot digest so much information. You need to let the user walk away what they learned from your presentation. So I reduced it like 15, 16 pages. Okay. Now, that guy many people get advice, few benefit from it. I think he listened to it, he made the presentation, and there was a write-up about that thing in a major journal.
Mhm.
And he was kind enough to say that I got advice from Professor Jain regarding something.
Mhm.
When my friends read about that, oh, they said, oh, you met the right person at the right time at the right place. I said,
Mhm.
no, I did the right thing. Had I not introduced myself, this conversation would not have started. So
Yeah.
I take a proactive approach to introduce myself to people, talk to. Till today, I would just show somebody said that I was on this flight, I learned so much. Can I call you? So I like to learn from people from different cultures and contribute in any way I can.
I think this advice is particularly useful to the young generation because now we heard a lot of people saying that people always keep their phone silent. They never pick up the phone because they don't want to talk to people, and they also don't want to talk to the strangers. So
No, they are always busy in their own thing, different thing. So I tell my
yes.
son that this is a rare opportunity. You are in together for a 12-hour flight, for a 2-hour flight. And don't feel, even if the person is not happy introducing, that's fine. This is just a data point. There are all kinds of people in life. I introduce, and sometimes I would also like to go to the cockpit. I ask their permission if I can introduce myself. You won't believe how many pilots, when I was the dean of Kellogg, used to come and see me for their children's education.
Wow.
So sometimes,
Uh-huh.
just another story I would share with you. So my father was quite sick and he was blind, and my mother passed away very early. So I used to go and see my father very often from Chicago. I would make one-day trip. Friday night, I would leave Chicago. Saturday night, I reached Delhi. Sunday, I would spend time with him. Sunday night, I will take the same flight. Monday morning back. Never missed a single breakfast meeting. So I got to know some pilots because they used to see me. So one day I was boarding the flight and I buy economy class, but since I travel so much, I got upgraded to business.
Oh.
So a flight attendant came, she saw me and hugged me. Another flight attendant came. Oh, so good to see you. Gave me a hug. The person sitting next to me in business class thought that he's sitting next to a flight attendant or a flight person.
Mm-hmm.
He thought it was below his dignity that this is a long flight for 14 hours and he will be sitting to for a person who is flight attendant. He's a senior, maybe a senior business executive. Sometimes they expect that you will have another. So he pressed the button and asked the flight attendant if he can change his seat.
Mm-hmm.
The flight attendant looked, the flight was quite full, came to me and said, would you change your seat? But we don't have another aisle. I was like on the aisle, he was on the window. He said, if we only have in those days, business class used to be 2, 3, and 2. So in the 3 side, there was a middle seat vacant. I said, I don't mind, it's a long flight. I will go and change. And then when I was getting up, the pilot walked in and he saw me. He says, Dean Jain, I'm so happy. My daughter was thrilled and you gave her so much time when she saw you, came to see you at Northwestern. If the pilot name was Dave Dunning, he said she was so thrilled and I want to thank you. So he asked the flight attendant, what's going on? He says, we are trying to find a seat for Dr. Jain.
Mm-hmm.
He says, forget about the seat, give him my seat 1A in first class. Okay. So I was getting up. Now the person sitting next to me asked me, are you Dean Jain, the Dean of Kellogg? I said, yes. He said, oh, I wanted to talk to you. I said, now it's too late. So people underestimate.
Yes.
Because my one thing, you would know this about Dipak Jain. For me, the janitor at Kellogg,
Yes.
we have different roles and responsibilities, but we don't have different hearts and minds.
Yes, I totally agree. Like, human beings, we are all human, like
Yes.
humanity.
We have different roles, different responsibilities, but nobody is inferior or superior based on the looks or your culture.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I believe.
Yeah, I'm very.
That's my hobby, is to how you work with people across different cultures. I'm the only person, I think, in the world who was the dean of the top business school in US, the top business school in Europe, the top business school in China, and then in India.
Mm-hmm.
And between this US, Europe, India, and China, if you account, the population is more than 50% of the world.
Yeah, I really like your leadership styles, because sometimes, especially for example, like there's some power distance when we want to ask for a recommendation letter. Sometimes we're concerned a little bit like, oh, will this person reject me, say no? But I found that a lot of people, if you ask, they actually are very willing to help you.
100%. People like to be asked for help. Never hesitate to ask for help. At the worst, what could happen? People may say no. But if you don't ask, the answer is no.
Yeah, this is
At least
something
try.
I have learned from experience too. For the purpose of this interview, what advice would you offer to young scholars who aspire to conduct research with both global relevance and real-world impact?
My advice to people is, first, believe in yourself
Mm-hmm.
and do your best. Don't compare yourself with others.
Mm-hmm.
Make the best use of your inner feelings, your talent, your strength.
Mm-hmm.
You may not be successful. What happens normally is you start comparing, oh, this guy has published 6 papers, I have not done. That comparison leads to depression. Believe in yourself and believe in the people you are working with.
Mhm.
But don't hesitate to seek help. You go to conferences, introduce yourself, you attend sessions. If you like someone, if that person would give you 5 minutes, many people may not. But don't get depressed with that. Believe in yourself, continue to do your work, and try to learn something that's unique to you. There are what I call for research, you need skills, tools, and conceptual frameworks.
Yes.
Find some skills and tools that you have that may excite others. My knowledge about hazard model, nothing in life is a gift. You have to earn it. And try to make the resources that are available around you. So going to conferences is a very good idea. Expand your exposure.
Yes.
See, I say one thing, we all live under the same sky, but we seem to have different horizons. That is what the word vision means. We all live, you can see further than others. So when you are at a conference, you can listen to papers and you can get some ideas. Approach people, they may say, no, that is fine, but at least you learned something. Expand your exposure, work hard, believe in yourself, and make the best use of resources that you have. Don't compare with others that they have more resources than others. If you are good, you will be approached. I went to UT Dallas, which was not a very well known.
I just wish that we have a lot of time to continue talking,
But
on different topics.
I would like to conclude from today. You have a friend in Deepak. Feel free to reach out to me anytime if I can be of any help. You'll be rest assured.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.